Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for March 15th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is Maggie. How you doing, Maggie?
Hi, Taran. I'm doing so good. I'm so happy to be here talking about this crazy season of Big Brother that we have. I feel like we swung from one extreme to the other. We watched one of the most boring seasons of Big Brother, one of the most perfect games, to one of the messiest, most exciting, most divided seasons we've had in a really long time. So I'm excited to talk about it with you today.
It really has been a while since we've had a house this divided, but we are here to talk about everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother Canada 9 live feeds. It was day 16 in the house.
It's crazy. It's only day 16.
Yeah.
I think last day 16, everyone was complaining that they didn't get enough tofu and were mad at Kaser.
Well, I mean, I have my notes. I can literally go back and read the notes for day 16 of BB22. Kaser made a last-minute push to flip the vote. Christmas made Nicole cry.
Sounds about right.
Janelle explained her beef with Nicole from The Amazing Race.
Sounds like BB22. All right. Love it.
All right. So we are here to talk about these pieces. And I really mean it. Honestly, thinking about the last time we had a house that was genuinely divided into two, it's been a very long time.
I think Big Brother 20 was the last time. And I know that there was some gray area because, we had people like JC and Tyler sort of running back and forth. But at least in that season, it was essentially half the house was a part of Faute, half the house was a part of level 6, and then there were a couple people in the middle. And I feel like that's maybe where we're heading right now. And it's sort of funny because they kind of fell backwards into it. It wasn't really in Big Brother 20, it was Swaggy had his people and Tyler had his people and they were battling it out. And really, I mean, last week when I was here talking with you and I was now that they've put it out there about Rohan flipping the vote, they have to do it because Ty and Jed, it's so important for people like them that it happens. And it was, and they should have, because now they're in a really, really tough position where they have a house divided, and they just played it all wrong. But
yeah. And I mean, honestly, I'd say even season 20, it didn't have a lot of the markers of a divided season where there was one alliance and then they kind of thought they were the only alliance, but there was actually another side. But this is like season 6 divided, where there are two sides and they hate each other's guts. And they're gunning for each other.
And they're openly saying their alliance names. Tina last night in front of people was I don't know if I should go with the Sunsetters or the Oddballs. And I was oh, we're just saying it. Huh? We're just putting it all out there, I guess. Yeah. The friendship and the Savs, we're just battling it out.
Exactly. So let's talk some of this through. We had Tina, Tara, and Kiefer talking. Tina and Tara are pretty firmly on the side of they want to keep Kiefer regardless of what happens with the veto. So obviously we know that Jed won the veto from yesterday and did not have the conversation with Vic where she tells him that Ty will go up if he uses it, which was very frustrating and will become even more frustrating today. But they are talking to Kiefer. They're kind of giving him campaign advice. Tina and Tara have always been pretty firmly on the side of they would like for Kiefer to stay over pretty much anybody that goes up.
So what's your thought on that?
I mean, that was my initial instinct for what's best for their game.
Okay.
For a few different reasons. One is that Toya has drifted away from Tina over this week, basically. Kiefer is not as tight with the guys as Toya is. He is a little bit tighter with Tina. Now, this being said, I have a lot of criticism for Tina that we'll talk about today in terms of the lack of maintenance that she's doing on these relationships. But she's still a little bit closer to Kiefer. Voting out Toya would allow Tina and Tara to be in with this more sort of divided oddball group that is a group of pairs, which is useful for them. And it also takes out one of the big competitors, like for a potential endgame if the Sunsetters do start to do very well. Now they have to deal with one less big, strong physical threat in the end, right? So I like the move. Now, that said, I think there are plenty of arguments for keeping Toya as well. I think that it's one of these decisions where I could see logic to go either way. But I did lean toward keeping Kiefer for them. I do think that's probably the better call ultimately.
Okay, I honestly don't really have an opinion. As a fan, I obviously want LaToya to stay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it can't end here, right? It can't end here. We got to get way more. There's so much more to be had between the LaToya Vic battle. But I just wasn't sure, because I know last week when we spoke, Tina, and also on the episode, LaToya's talking about how Tina's her number one, and I wasn't sure she was going to let go of Toya that quickly, but I just wasn't sure. That's why I'm glad I got your perspective on it.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say Tina is not Toya's number one anymore, for sure. And so, with that in mind as well, it's also just especially the nature of this divided house, the game changes so much, right? And they're recognizing it in the house as well. Ty and Beth keep talking about it, and they're frustrated about it, but there's very little that they can do, because this game has changed from the strong players rise to the top to the strong players get evicted. And that means that if you are not one of the quote unquote strong players, you want to keep that going. You want to evict the strong players. You want Toya to go. You want to keep the weaker players. You want people like Kiefer, because you want to eventually have a group of quote unquote weaker players that can overcome the remnants of the strong players that survive the big battle.
Yes. And also, if you're not as strong of a player like me, if I were to play Big Brother, I would be like, let's get all of these physical specimens out of here so I can beat somebody in a race.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it really does come down to that. There comes a point with the two-sided game that it becomes a very simple equation sometimes. So, we'll see where it goes. But Toya and Jed do talk. They are talking about how they are trying to bring Tara in, and that Jed had done such a great job the day before talking to Tara, making her feel comfortable. They want to officially bring her into the group so that it's officially a group of 7. That would be great. They have yet to have the bomb dropped on them that this at best would be a group of 6.
Eek. I mean, yeah. And that's the thing, it's so clearly in front of their faces. And even there's a conversation, I think a little bit further into the morning with Ty, where he's like, she could put me up. And then they're both like, but she would never do that. She wouldn't do that. But she could, but she won't, because we're so smart. Right?
Well, she promised on some dark stuff, man.
I mean, and that is true. And look, I tweeted yesterday, we'll obviously get to the most maybe iconic moment of the past 3 seasons so far later in this update, which involves my girl Victoria, but also the move itself is so messy, which is why I love her. But it's what are you doing? Because she promised on some dark stuff. But
yeah, it's there's part of me is I can't believe how oblivious Ty and Jed can be in this situation. But then part of me does excuse it at least a little bit, because it is so illogical the way that Vic has gone about it, that it's like I can understand why it would be hard to see exactly, like, with everything that she said, how could she possibly be doing the other thing? Why would she ever say those things? But at the same
Can't
time,
control her.
yeah, like
Don't dim her light, Taran.
So Tina and Tara are going to talk a little bit more. I mean, this week is going to become the Tina and Tara week, because they are going to be deciding the vote here.
Talk about a come from behind with Tara. Am I right? Last week we were forgetting she was in the house, and this week it's literally all coming down to her. It's like, good for you, Tara. You just wandered around and got yourself into enough rooms that suddenly you became important. It's like amazing. I don't discount that strategy, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's because, I think it's basically because Tina chose Tara over the Sunsetters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now Tina, who had a lot of power in the Sunsetters, has just decided to sort of break off with Tara and become a power broker in the house. And Tara is really kind of like picking up that role. Like, Tara is now the person talking about, like, which side are we going to go to? What are we going to do? And Tina's kind of taking a little bit of a back seat. But yes, Tara, her stock in the game has definitely risen. If you bought Tara in the stock watch, you might see a profit here this week.
I don't even want to talk about my stock watch picks. I can't even. It's depressing. I made a mistake. All right. I didn't do the right thing, but it's fine. It's fine, but not really. Anyways.
Oh boy. Well, Tina, you know what? You can tell us who you picked in the stock watch.
I bought a lot of Beth. Which definitely, like, there was a point in the week where it was looking like maybe Beth was going to be sent out the door. And I was like, well, if I had to lose in order for the house to win, who am I to say? You know? But now at least she's going to be around for a minute. But, you know, I'm sure you guys will talk tomorrow night about how her reach has gone from half the house to about one person.
Yes.
So, you know.
I think Beth shareholders definitely have had a roller coaster of a week. And
Not great.
I mean, genuinely, if you have Beth, I think, you know, just be thankful that she's not going on the block, right? Like,
trust me, I'm counting my blessings.
Lose your shirt.
Counting my blessings that I didn't get bankrupt in the first week of the stock watch. But, you know.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
All right. So Tina and Tara are going to talk about how they hope that Ty or Beth goes up. Beth, because she's a liar. Wouldn't it be great if Beth went up and they could send Beth home? They'd rather.
I'm getting nervous.
Right. They'd rather keep Toya in the game if they could help it. They don't want to send Toya out over somebody like Beth or Ty. But they do want to keep Kiefer over anyone else. Tara says that, well, the oddball side have the numbers right now. But ultimately, I don't really care which side wins and in what order, you know, like, as long as we get to, you know, keep our options open. There are people on both sides that we don't trust. So, you know, what are we going to do?
Yeah. So this is my thing. Last week we were sort of arguing about, like, because Beth was talking about how she had this exact order in her head and she wanted it to go this exact way. But for me, I think that if I was in there, I would fully take the Tara approach, where I'm like, it's not that deep, the order that everybody goes in. Let's just see who wins, see how the deck reshuffles, and go from there. Like, you can't, I feel like someone like Tara and Tina, obviously the way that they're playing in the position that they're in, they have to play so much more on their toes. But it seems like there's at least the skill level and, you know, they're malleable in what they want enough and to be able to play in that position. But it's hard. It's a hard position to play in. And it's very obvious that Tina, it's not what she wanted. She didn't come in thinking she was going to be Andy Herron. I think she came in thinking she was going to be Casey Clark. And now she's got to, you know, swing between two sides. And I think it's stressful on her. And I think that's why, you know, you were saying at the top of the update that Tina's like sort of let some stuff go. And I think it's because you have to be so aggressive. And Tara is like the Energizer Bunny in there and is like ready to go, which is why
Tara's like, people are talking to me. Woo.
Exactly. She's like, and then I conducted this person and this person and this person. But yeah, that I just think that the position that they're in is tough to play from and takes a lot out of you. And I imagine someone who thought they were going to come in and stay loyal to a group and do an onion alliance is sort of like, huh, well, that didn't work out. I don't really want to do this, but I guess here we go. Yes,
and you should notice as well that that Tara knows about the oddballs. The oddballs are officially including Tara and Tina. At this point, it is not, the oddballs are not a 5-person alliance, they are a 7-person alliance, with Tara and Tina included.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, I'm saying they just know the alliance names. Like, we're just saying them out loud. It's so cool. When does that ever happen?
And this is really part of the thing too, where the Sunsetters were doing a much better job with Tara and Tina in the first half of the week, but come yesterday, the oddballs have given Tara and Tina the sort of official invite, clearly, and the Sunsetters are still talking about, well, we should fully bring Tara in, and it seems like the oddballs ended up beating them to the punch, even though they were ahead all week, which, man, sounds like the whole game so far, right?
I mean, it's like, how do you fumble the ball so hard? I mean, I think I saw someone on Twitter say this. I think it was Christina. Like, Stina Stinks, I think on Twitter, said, this is a season of like B-level players. Like, there's no one who's an A+ player here. Like, Tina's probably the best, and she's like B+ at best. Which is why we're getting all of this chaos, because everyone's here to play. Nobody's, you know, fessying it up, but people are, you know, are fumbling the ball and they are making the wrong choices, and it's leaving things wide open for people to pick it back up and start running with it. And it's really exciting.
Yeah. All right. So Vic is going to talk with Austin a little bit about, Vic's going to go over some of the things she wants to say.
I did just want to say, before this Vic conversation with Austin, Kyle and Ro were talking with Austin and Brayden outside, and it was basically like generalized friendship chit chat, except the nugget of information comes out that the night before, Jed had like slept in Austin's bed with her.
Oh yeah.
And it's like trying to cuddle with her at night, and Austin is like, hard no. She's like, hard. And I think that Jed obviously like thinks Austin is beautiful because he has eyes and she's, you know, stunning, and Jed is into her, but I don't think he's like, you know, obsessively like wants to be with her, but he's just sort of like, well, Beth is no longer an option for me, so maybe Austin will be. And he's like, maybe I can use my influence on her. And Austin is just like, I got 1 hour of sleep because the whole night I was in the corner of the bed because Jed was spread out and she's not into it. She's not into him. It's just really funny, and honestly makes me appreciate Austin a lot more.
I mean, there's nothing sexier than just being fast asleep, taking up most of the bed, right? That's the best.
Like having like your spider arm like halfway on the other person's side. And also, I do appreciate Austin. I know that obviously there's a lot of criticism on Austin's gameplay, but I do feel like she's found her footing a bit this week because she is really ingrained in a group. Both Austin and Brayden, I think, have been doing a really good job. And I identify a lot with who Austin is hanging out with, because she's hanging out with Brayden, who is obviously so fun and amazing. And she's hanging out with Kyle and Ro, who were like, you know, like just these non-threatening dudes who are like kind of goofy and like doofuses, and they're not like gonna be trying to like put their spider arm on her at night. And I do think, and like Tina and Tara, so I understand why she has gone in this direction, because I can't imagine being in there and having also that weird added pressure of like somebody trying to flirt with you when you're like, I'm on television and playing a game. Please leave me alone.
Yeah, I mean, talking about another person whose stock has gone up here, Austin has found herself in a version of the game that is pretty rare, but very heavily suits that passive style of gameplay that we were criticizing last week. Where, and granted, that style of gameplay very nearly completely screwed her over. And it was but for the incompetence of her enemies that she finds herself in the position she is now. But now that she's here, just like pencil her in for the final 5. Like she is golden right now.
And she is she's the perfect person also to have in your alliance like this, because she can't fake it. Like if I was in an alliance with Austin, I would be like, perfect. Like, I'm going to get some of the people on the other side to like me enough to not put me up, because Austin is never going to be able to do that. Because basically Beth, Ty, people walk into a room and she's silent. She says nothing. She like can't, like Brayden is like trying to make it not awkward. And Austin is just over it, arms crossed, wants nothing to do with these people, which if you're in a split house, you're like, and you're trying to make sure that your side stays strong. You're like, Austin is my girl. Like, she's never going to leave me. You know, Kyle and Ro have to be like, great, Austin's with us forever, you know?
Yeah, she's stuck with us. She doesn't have any other relationships. She has no choice. Yeah, but even Brayden has pointed that out. Like, yeah, Austin can't hide it at all. Like, Beth comes in and she just like stares at her with like a death ray.
Brayden's doing really good.
Brayden's strength was Brayden very similar to Austin in that he was playing way too passively. But Brayden, probably even better than Austin, has a better social game and can create relationships with the other side, which I actually think is more to his benefit, because that's the sort of like those are the sorts of relationships that somebody will need in the end game. And similar to Austin, pencil him in for, you know, final 5, final 6, where, you know, those relationships could come in handy. So you know, it's not the most exciting gameplay in the world, but you know, with the divided house, these are the players that will likely rise to the top, and that's what Ty and Beth are very frustrated with right now. They're like, oh, these floaters are gonna make it to the end, and I'm like, am I watching Big Brother All Stars right now? Like, I feel like this is such a throwback season.
Oh my gosh, yes. And with the pairs too. I didn't even think about it in that way. Oh, man.
We just need,
this is why they pay you the big bucks, Taran.
we just need Kyle as Kaser and I guess Ty as Dr. Will to come together and make a
Dr. Will, Ty is not.
Well, neither is Kyle a Kaser. I'm just saying we need the leaders of the alliance to come together and make a deal.
Sure. Yeah, that's never. Honestly,
no, they're not.
I mean, we can talk about it.
They talked about it just before the update started. Ty was like, I mean, the only play is to, or I think it was Beth. Like, the only play is to go to Kyle and Ro and be like, hey, let's take out the floaters. And Ty was like, yeah, but the problem is that no one's dumb enough to do that. Nobody's gonna waste their HOH on a floater. Like, we're just gonna want to take a shot at each other first. And it's like, yeah, that's the problem with the divided house. And unfortunately, Kaser did buy into that deal, and then he got.
You know, yeah.
What are you gonna do?
You know, that's why we love Big Brother All Stars, right?
Yeah. All right. So Vic and Austin talk. Vic is not just practicing with Austin, but with the rest of the oddballs as well. But this particular conversation is going over what she wants to say. I'm not going to spoil it because we're going to go over it when it happens. It's an hour-long conversation at first, and then it happens again. So
She also mentions in this conversation that she has a final three with Brayden and Austin. Victoria does. And they call themselves the Glossy Flossy, which I think is fun. For a viewer like me.
better
I like
than the
Glossy
dolls?
Flossy.
What dolls or
No.
Glossy Flossy?
Dolls is way better
Yeah.
because it's more versatile. You can say it with a fun like tone in your voice. But Glossy Flossy is still of the same vibe. And yeah, I appreciate it. I can't help it, okay? I love Victoria, Brayden, and Austin. They seem like such fun people to be around.
I guess the question becomes with Victoria as a potential boot next week, will Glossy Flossy go down the same way as the dolls? And in week 5, are we going to see Austin as HOH and Brayden and them having conversations about how they were never really that close to Victoria?
I think you might be onto something, Taran.
All right. So they say that after this week, it'll be them versus Ty, Jed, Kiefer, and Beth. But maybe they can work with Beth. Austin doesn't like Beth, but she can try to work with her, which we will see how that goes. But they don't trust her at all. They think that she's a liar, and all that. And this is also going to change later today. But just worth noting that there was still some sort of notion that they could maybe work with Beth prior to them like fully realizing that Beth is on the other side.
Beth is really heavy-handed. Like, I think maybe that's what I was trying to like suss out last week when I was watching the feeds. I just think that she's like has no subtlety, which is what makes it messy.
Oh, sweetie, this is why you're the best. I'm so with you right now.
Oh, you are?
Yes, final 2, because I just want to support you in your statement here.
Thanks, Beth. That's so nice of you.
Yeah.
What information do you have for me? What do you think of this? What do you think of this person? What do you think of Melissa?
Well, I actually heard that Melissa doesn't like you, and yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, she's now that people are onto her, like her thing just doesn't work, and it's embarrassing now, and Beth should stop trying.
Ouch! It's embarrassing, and she should stop trying. Hey, some of us are Beth shareholders, okay? Some of us had faith.
She needs to pivot. She needs to change her tactic because, like, if doing what she's doing now, nobody is ever gonna believe a word she says
really?
anymore.
Is Beth an inflexible player?
I don't know that I said that, but I think
I said that.
Oh, okay.
I said that.
I see. Yes. Well, I think that she needs to just be like, look, yes, I am in a showmance with Ty. I am with these people, and now let's work from there, right? Okay, so. Beth is going to talk with Austin, by the way. Austin says that she's wondering like what's going to happen with the replacement nom. She's trying to figure out what she wants to do with it. And Beth says that, well, obviously Jed's going to take Toya down. And Vic goes, well, we'll see what he wants to do after I'm done talking to him.
And Beth's head explodes. You see her heart drop into her butt, and she's like, whoa, you're scaring me, Vic. And Vic's like, yeah. And Beth is like, but you're such a badass. Like it's not me, right? And Vic's like, oh no. And Beth is like, yeah, because if I thought it was me, that would be like so sketchy of me to like think that it was me, because obviously we're so good that if I was worried, it would be so sketchy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so good.
And she is going to run to Jed and be like, so I think that Victoria's on a bit of a power trip. She just told me that she'll see what you want to do with the veto after she's done talking to you. And Jed is like, oh, jeez. And so he goes into the HOH room to be like, "Hey, can we talk?" And she's like, "Yeah, can you get Ty? Can Ty talk with us as well?" So he goes and he grabs Ty's like, "That's not good."
Ty and Jed are they're such a fun duo to me because one, they are good guys. Like you can see it after everything goes wrong for them yesterday. Like
honestly, the conversation I'm about to recap, patience of saints.
Mm-hmm. And very nice. They don't say anything like upsetting about anybody. Like they are clearly very good guys. And that's why it's so fun to sort of watch them try and navigate because it's like like Ty especially I think is much more like meek and not meek is not the right word. Much more like he's easier to get along with, I think. Like Jed is a bit more prickly than Ty and is willing to like, stand his ground a little bit more. But they're both really, really nice guys. And I just want to say that before we go into all of this conversation. I was really impressed. And I was like, these guys are like sweethearts.
Yeah, I mean, this is a conversation that in most Big Brother houses with most Big Brother casts would have been a big argument. And to be fair, it becomes one later, but then the feed's cut for it. But this okay. Jed and Ty go into the HOH room, and Vic she says, "All right." And this is the thing too, where like I've talked about this before, and this is what I really like about Vic is that she's always like very chipper. She's always got a smile on her face. And so she's like, this is not going to be a good conversation, guys.
Can you imagine walking in to a conversation where the person in power is like, you're not going to like at all what I have to say?
Yeah.
She's so amazing.
So she says, look, I made a speech and I want to stick to that speech. I want Toya on the block because Toya flips. That's what she does. She likes to flip. And I said that this would happen, but I need to make sure that that Toya doesn't flip this vote. And so, I know that I wanted to do something a little fun. I wanted to, come up with a cool plan and make a big move. But then I'm hearing that you guys have said that I'm good at competitions and like I'm smart and I knew my nominations right away. And so now I feel like I just have this massive target on my back and I feel like I can't make a big move anymore. And the one thing that I said with Canada watching, I can't have a flip on my HOH. So there's one person that Toya won't flip on. Looks at Ty. And here's the thing. I really want Kiefer out. And I just want to say she stumbles every time she lies.
Yeah.
Every time
she's
she lies.
She's not a good liar.
She's like she keeps almost saying, I swear, she keeps almost saying she wants Toya out. And then has to go, Kiefer, I want Kiefer out because he lied about me and stuff. And I need to make sure he goes and that the vote doesn't flip. And here's the thing.
He lied in front of her face.
In front of my face, guys. And here's the thing. If I do put Ty up, I'm worried that you would get voted out. So I don't want to have to do that because I don't want Ty to get voted out. I want Kiefer to get voted out. And so right away she's like, I don't want the vote to flip, so I'll have to put up Ty. And I think the vote will flip against Ty, but I have to put up Ty to prevent the vote from flipping. And right away there's going to be a lot of questions from Ty and Jed about this.
Because I mean, look, this is what I'm going to say about all of this. Victoria is the moment. She is Big Brother. This is one of the most amazing conversations I've ever gotten to witness on the feeds. She is amazing. I love her so much. This is all wrong. She handled this perhaps in one of the worst ways possible. She's making the right move, and yet she's doing everything wrong while making the right move. But I don't really care. I'm just so happy. I can't help it. I mean, we can, go through game-wise and analyze this, but I just want to say thank you to Victoria. I love you. Please stick around more than next week because it looks like you might be heading out the door here soon. But so fun.
I mean, here's the thing. I think that people often, attach these two things together, but like, if I criticize somebody's game, that's not me saying I don't like it or saying that it's bad in any way. If I praise somebody's game, that's not me saying that I like them or what they're doing necessarily. They're completely separate things. This is the most ridiculous conversation I have heard on the feeds in memory. I can't vividly remember a conversation that is this utterly ridiculous and
makes
full
no
of
sense.
Inane concepts and logic.
And that's the thing.
I was
Jed.
glued to it. I had so many things to do yesterday. I was in the middle of changing my graphics card on the computer, and I had both computers wide open. Cats were running all over the place. A cat.
Oh, yeah.
And I was sitting there on my computer for an hour watching this train derail constantly and explode all over the place. Like, I just couldn't tear my eyes away.
I had a friend over yesterday for brunch, and in the middle of brunch, I got up from the brunch table and said, I'm so sorry, I have to go to my room and watch something, and sat and watched for an hour this conversation with Victoria because it was so good. Because Ty and Jed are like, okay, well, let's talk about this because you're making no sense. So they're trying to logic it, but Victoria is lying and has no logic to what she's saying. So they're just going round and round and round, and this is why it's an hour-long conversation, because they're desperately trying to get somewhere with her, but she's lying to them. So every point that they're making is not going to get anywhere with her because it has nothing to do with why she's actually doing it.
And part of the thing too that I feel like we sort of confirm a bit later in the day is that I think she also actually, like, part of her is lying, part of her is genuinely using this logic. Like, and it's like a mixture of both. And that makes it even more confusing. Because
this is something that while I was watching, I was like, oh, she's really hurt. Last week when she went to, I remember you talking about it in the update and being like, I can't tell if she's serious. I don't really know, because she just came to Toya and was like, I want an alliance with you, Ty and Jed. I want it to be named this. I think we should do this. She brings it up like every 5 minutes in her conversations with them. And I think she's genuinely really hurt that they didn't want to work with her. I think that she's completely picking right and like attaching her cart to the carb alliance because they do actually genuinely want to work with her, and they did come to her before she won HOH, and they are honest in saying that they want her in their alliance.
Making all the right moves. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. She's like, that's what I'm saying. She's making all of the right moves and all of the wrong ways.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. So Jed and Ty are like, okay, I don't understand. And Jed is doing most of the talking here. So when I refer to Jed and Ty, it's mostly Jed, but Ty will sometimes talk as well.
And Ty, I'm sorry, I just had to say it. Don't forget to say that Ty has these big old saucer eyes. He's just sort of like, what?
Yeah. Like, okay, what if Toya promises her vote? Just, no. Toya flips. That's what she does. She'll promise me the vote, and then 20 minutes before the eviction, she'll be like, we're flipping. And they're like, but don't you realize that if you want Kiefer out and Toya's on the block next to Kiefer, Kyle and Ro and them are just going to vote out Toya? No, they promised me their votes. So obviously they're going to stick with me. Tina and Toya, Tina and Tara, they promised me. I've got them in my pocket. Austin and Braden will do what I say. They promised, and Kyle and Ro, they promised too. And Kyle brought me the biggest piece of information in this game so far, and so I really respect him for that. So I really think that that they are gonna vote that way. And Jed and Ty are just like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, what do promises mean to you? Because you promised us a lot of stuff prior to this. What makes you think that they're going to keep the stronger competitor that they hate, that they're going after? Kyle literally said yesterday, I'm going to take you out the first chance I get. What makes you think they will do what you say?
I'm sorry. This is Big Brother. I'm sorry. It's Big Brother. Also, you can thank Toya for that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If you think
Toya
about it, it's really Toya's fault. She says. Just gaslighting extraordinaire, Victoria. Like, there's so much, like, this is really your fault. I'm not even, like, think about it. You are the one that caused this. You are the one that is getting all of this wrong. If it's to a ridiculous degree.
And she sticks with it, because this is the thing. I feel like, and this is maybe in the later conversation, is when I would have just dropped it and been like, okay, it's war then. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not changing my mind. But like, I didn't have the stamina to do what she did. She like lied to their faces for like 4 hours straight yesterday and logicked around a merry-go-round.
So I tweeted out, like, I have not seen somebody put this much effort into like trying to gaslight somebody and avoid blame since Paul cried to Alex in Big Brother 19. Like this was massive Paul vibes for me, except Paul, and I do believe Paul also kind of believed it. But like it was still very like intentional with Paul, whereas this is just so messy, and it's just all over the place. So they okay. What about the promises? What about the promises that you made to us? She said, "Well, I would have stuck with them, but like I said, I feel like things have changed, and now I'm a big target, and that's because Ty, you said that I was good at comps and that I was smart.
And I know you said it in a nice way.
Yeah, I know you didn't mean anything bad by it, but you did say it. So now I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. It's your fault."
And Jed says, you do realize that you're compromising my game right now. And she says, you can thank LaToya for that. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. And she's like, but I want to work with you guys. Here, I'm going to Yeah. I'm going to tell
This is when it started to go off the rails. And I was like, Victoria, shh. We've done enough.
But this is what, like, this is in Victoria's mind. She is thinking, I have an ironclad explanation for why I'm screwing these people over. And I'm going to trick them into working with me next week. And so she's like, let me tell you a story about me and somebody I'm going to call Player A.
I forgot about this.
Me and Player A, back in the early days of the season, really wanted to work with you and Ty. But Player A and I felt like you picked Toya over us. And so Toya just took you down this bad path. And I think she's telling the truth.
Yeah,
here.
Me too.
Toya took you down this bad path. And now once we get through this week, we can all come together and be in an alliance together. And they're just like, Player A is Beth. Yeah.
And she says, oh, also Player A is another option to go up as the replacement nominee, just so you know. Not just Ty. I'm not only considering Ty. I'm also considering Beth.
Yes. So like, okay, so what you're saying is you want to put Ty on the block and then you want to work with us next week. Just like, yes. Like,
yeah. And like I said, we should have never gotten to this, because this makes everything she was already saying that was nonsensical make even less sense. Like, and Jed is like, you do realize that then you're threatening 3 people in your alliance and strong-arming the 4th that you seemingly want to create. Like, you do realize that's your behavior right now with people you're saying you want to be in an alliance with. And she's like, you can blame Toya for that. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's just like, and they're like, okay, well, why do you want? If you want to work with us, then let's make that happen, and we'll agree to vote Kiefer out. And she's like, no, I don't trust Toya. Like, if you don't trust Toya, why do you want to work with her? And she's like, I just need, this is what I need this week. And Jet, again, the patience here is extraordinary. She's like, okay. Let's accept this, right? We're in an alliance next week. We're in an alliance next week. You agree, right? That if Kyle wins next week, he's coming for us. He's putting 2 of us up in this alliance. He's putting me, Toya, or like even you, if you're with us, right? Like he could, like, he is a threat to us. And she's like, yes, absolutely. And it would be great if we could have gotten Kyle out this week, but it's just too late for that.
Talking as the HOH to the veto holder.
Yeah. I just need to
too late.
And they're like,
no solution.
Kiefer would not put us up. You see that too, right? Like, Kyle is a threat to all of us. Kiefer is not a threat to any of us. Yeah, but I just need Kiefer gone because of that whole lie thing. So, like, okay. Well, I mean, did you tell Kiefer that he was the target? They know that she told Kiefer that he was not the target. It's like, yes, I did. Okay. And I mean, I was pretty soft with him, you know. I have like a soft spot in my heart.
Nice.
Yeah, so I don't know what he came away from that conversation with exactly, but yeah, I told him that he was my target.
And then at the end of the conversation, Victoria goes, "I'm not a liar. Okay, I smoked too much weed for that. I can't keep it all straight in my brain."
Oh boy.
And that was when I was like, Victoria, you are the best thing that has happened to Big Brother Canada 9 thus far.
it's really, I mean, like, last season we had Vanessa, right? This season we have Victoria.
Yep.
So they're like, I just, like, how do you want to work with us if you're threatening us? I'm not threatening anything. Okay. So why is it too late to take out Kyle? Well, he brought me the biggest piece of information yet in the game, and I just really respect him for that. Like,
it's just going round and round, right?
Mean? Like, what do you mean he brought you the biggest information in the game? She's like, guys, I hate to do this. I would love to get Kyle out. And I would love to do something. I'm sorry for swearing on my pictures. But I would have been able to do this if you guys just hadn't said that I was a comp beast. So, and again, I know you didn't mean anything by it, but it happened. And so now that has brought us to where we are today. And they're like, okay, we agree to keep, let's talk more about this later. Let's continue this conversation. Jed and Ty.
Boy, they do.
Jed and Ty leave, and Victoria stands up, and she's just like, best to ever play the game. Yeah.
She like kicks the camera. It is like, oh yeah. I love her.
I mean, the last time I saw someone this delusional about their own level of gameplay was Victoria in season 16.
No, don't you dare do that. to our Big Brother Canada 9 queen. Don't you dare do that, Taran. I will not accept it.
That was really for the jokes. I mean, obviously Raven was there too.
How dare you on both of those? How dare you?
Best to ever play the game, guys.
How dare you, Taran? I will not hear this.
That conversation convinced her that she's the best ever.
I will not allow you to compare her to the likes of Raven and Big Brother 16
Hey,
Victoria.
Raven was a puppet master.
Fine. I will half allow you that one. But over my dead body, over my dead Stockwatch Beth body, will I allow you to compare her to Victoria from Big Brother 16.
Oh man, all right. So there's this I decided to spend a lot of time on that conversation. We're almost an hour in here.
Hey guys.
Ty and Jed are going to inform people about the conversation that they had with Vic. Jed lets Ty know there's no chance I'm using this veto. If there's any possibility that you're going up, I'm not going to use it at all. But hopefully we can have more conversations with her. Vic is also going to talk with Toya. Very similar conversation, a lot shorter. Toya does not stick around as long and ask as many questions.
Yeah, because Toya's like, this is clearly BS.
Yeah.
And she gets up and walks away. And this is the thing, like, they are both like, if Victoria is like, you know, the icon of the season, LaToya is the main character. You know, like these two people, like, I can't have LaToya go home this week. That will be it'll be sad for everybody. Like, we need them to stay in the house together. I feel.
I don't think it's happening, but I'm
so sad.
Yeah. So Toya is also going to talk with Jed, who's going to be like, look, sorry, you know, she's saying Ty is going to go up. And she's like, but do we really want, like, if Kiefer's still the target, maybe we should just use the veto anyway to kind of, you know, make a statement. Like, hey, we're not going to just be controlled by what Vic wants. And he's like, I mean, I hear you.
He's like, fair point.
Yeah. But it's not happening is the implication.
That's to say. Yeah, that's a point.
Yeah. I like that she's trying though. So Tina and Tara, man, even in my notes I sometimes put Tina and Toya. Tina and Tara are gonna talk about how, like, okay, well, if this is happening, because they were informed about the conversation as well, they now know that the threat is Ty, which means that the veto is not going to be used, and that means that Toya is going to stay on the block, and that is not ideal for them. They would have liked to keep Toya. Again, that's what they were talking about earlier, but they agree if the noms stay the same, they're going to have to send Toya home, and you know, they're still willing to work with the rest of that group if the circumstances are right, aka they win HOH. But as of right now, they're kind of more with the oddballs, because they're going to be voting with them.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long week. It's only Monday.
Things could change.
We got a couple of days. Things were crazy last week.
I'm going to need Toya to stop, like, complaining about Tina and Tara and start talking to them and working on them, because she needs their votes.
Yep, exactly.
So the crew decides, like, all right, let's all go and talk to Vic together. Let's go and have this a group conversation.
And this was like, if I was Beth, I would have been like, why don't you three go talk to her, and I'll sit downstairs and you can tell me what happened. Because
so this is Toya, Jed, Ty, Beth talking to Vic.
Yeah, and I think that, like, Beth went in there as, like, look at, you're gonna have 4 people against you if you do this. It was definitely like a sort of pressuring, you know, like a bit of like a threatening air to it. Obviously not like outwardly and we're not talking about anything dark. It's just like Big Brother.
This is kind of what they were talking about, where they were like, do we reveal the alliance? Where they were like, we need to show up in numbers to let her know that, like, you know, there is a group of people that you're pissing off by making this move. And And so that was kind of the intention.
Mm-hmm. And so they go in and they're like, hey, Vic, can we talk to you? And Austin and Braden are in there, and Victoria's like, I don't want to talk. I already talked. I don't want to talk. And Austin and Braden are like, we're gonna get out of here. And she's like, okay. So they all come in, and she comes in hot. Like, she's like, enough. All right, enough. This is what I'm doing. And she lays down the law, and everybody's sort of like, except LaToya, who's sitting there stone-faced, like as stoic as possible, just like, okay, yeah. And you can see that about 30 seconds into the conversation, Beth's like, I shouldn't be here. And Ty's like, maybe I should get up and leave. I also don't want to be here. Because they are saying, you know, LaToya's like, I trust you, that you think that I am a straight shooter. And so I don't know why you're saying I would flip. They're starting to rat out Kyle and Rohan about like Kiefer, saying that they're like, well, Kyle and Rohan already went to Kiefer and promised him their vote. Like, but you're saying that you have the votes to get rid of Kiefer? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And Victoria has no comeback for it. And she goes, well, that's very disappointing to hear.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, because they're like, Kyle and Ro told Kiefer, you're not going anywhere. And she's like, oh, well. Yeah, that would be that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's like that dismantles your entire logic castle that was already dismantled.
Shaky at best. Yeah. And she says, like, Toya is like not playing around, and she's like, I truly do believe that I'm your target, so this is making me nervous. And Victoria just goes, first of all, don't talk to me that way. And I was like, like, oh my gosh. It's so exciting. And then they start fighting, and it's so awkward. And Victoria is telling LaToya, like, she's the initiator. And Jed's like, well, but you were pressuring us. And then she really does just drop the bomb, and she's like, because Beth is like, well, you don't understand. And like Beth is like trying to diffuse it, and Victoria's like, you don't understand that I went to these three and tried to make an alliance with them. They never got back to me. It was very clear that they didn't want to work with me. And that's when you can tell, like, that's what she's the most hurt and upset by, I think, is that she really wanted to work with them, and they just showed no interest.
Yeah, and she's just she's like, what do you want? Do you want me to put up Beth? You want me to put up Beth? Is that what you want?
And Beth is like, God, no.
Actually, yes, that's what we want. That's what the audience wants, actually.
No, not me. Do not put a Beth, please.
Nope, sorry. You are a part of the audience. Therefore, you want Beth on the block.
Beth gets 10s across the board as far as I'm concerned.
Now, here's the thing that was just a massive mood killer for me yesterday. They're in the middle of this, and over the announcements, they go, veto meeting in 1 hour. Excuse me?
That's everyone's face. Every single person is like, what? Have they ever done that ever, Taran?
They have occasionally changed up the dates, but it's usually like when there's a holiday or something like that. Like there's usually a reason for it.
Do they announce it over the loudspeaker like that?
And not usually. There's usually some kind of like, like there's on the screen, it'll be like veto meeting today, or something like that. And it was just like what is happening here? Because it should, for those that might not be up on the schedule, it's supposed to take place on Monday. The veto meeting should be taking place later today. And like of all, like this is the most amount of drama like ever for a pre-veto meeting, like ever, because nobody's ever done what Victoria did in promising on her family, her dead family, that she would that she would not put Ty or Jed up, and that she would let them choose the replacement. And then when she goes back on it, instead of just being like, sorry, this is what I have to do, is like, it's actually your fault for saying that I'm smart. And I still want to work with you. Like, we've never seen anything like this. And there's so much drama left to be, like, there's a fight literally happening right now. And they're like, now let's just cut this off.
Why? Why did they do that to us?
It's like, it was such a bummer. Like, I just like, I was so disappointed. Obviously here's the thing. I'm used to twists disappointing me. I'm used to all kinds of things disappointing me, especially with Big Brother Canada. But this was a blindside. This was like this was like I was in the Sunsetters, and I thought I really was with Tina, and now Tina's just like, who are you? And I'm just like, Tina, you were my best friend. It was Toya and Tina. How could you? It was Taran and Tina.
Taran and Tina.
I was just like, why would they do this? I was like, it has to be a mistake. Somebody just accidentally pressed the button, and then it happened again. I was like, are they really gonna? They just cut this off?
It was mean,
and they did.
I didn't
and the
like
feeds,
it.
like, just as things started to get like heated in this
meeting, right as Arissa tweeted like a gif of someone eating popcorn, being like, the Big Brother Canada 9 feeds. That's when they cut it for the meeting. I was so confused.
In the middle of this argument, the feeds get cut. And they don't come back for like another hour or so after the veto meeting is over, and that's just it. Like, there's no more drama, there's no more argument, there's no more like
sadness.
Trying to get Victoria to explain herself, trying to get Victoria to not do it. Like, it's just all over, just like that.
Well, but you know what she did after the meeting, Victoria? She went up to Jed and said, "You know, I was never going to put up Ty."
Yes.
The cojones on her is unbelievable.
The audacity.
The audacity of it all. She really had the audacity to do that.
Just like, there's something in her mind that thinks that's a good thing to say, that thinks that, like, because here's the thing, even if he believes her, that's worse. Right? If I'm Jed and I believe that she was lying to me just then for an hour or more, after all of that, and it was a lie, and I just got tricked, you're saying that I just got tricked into not using the veto on Toya? Now I have to feel like it's my fault? Screw you!
Tell him, Taran. This is honestly, I wasn't sure before we came in, but now that we've talked through it, this is probably one of my favorite days of Big Brother ever. I wasn't certain, but now that we've gone through this journey over the past hour, I feel confident.
Yeah, it's man, it's just like it's like there's something like Victoria just really feels like, if I can make people feel like it's their fault, then they won't blame me. But what that does is just make them the most upset with you. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Paul taught us that, Vic.
Right? Vic, come on. No, she's great. Never change, Vic, please. Please never change. I love you so much.
Oh, man.
Okay, there is stuff after the veto meeting that I wanted to bring up that isn't game related. I just think it's really funny. So Kyle, Tina, Tara, and Rohan all smoke cigarettes, but they refer to them as carrots. Excuse me. And whenever they go out to do it, Tina's always like, no game talk. I can't be on TV having a carrot. So they all go out there and just sort of like pal around. But I do think that that has something to do with sort of the connection, why Kyle and Rohan felt safe enough to, you know, like ask Tina and Tara to join the Oddballs. Like people always say that the smokers on any given season spend a lot of time together because they all sit and smoke together. And I do think that there is something to that about this little grouping of four, because like nothing probably makes you feel calmer than going out, doing something that is a de-stressor, not condoning it. Nobody do it. It's bad habit. But something that's a de-stressor, and then having it declared amongst you guys, like, we're not going to talk about game. Like that's got to be a really nice palate cleanser for them and has to, you know, endear them to each other. And I think that it's just like a really interesting aspect to it. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like getting time alone with people is kind of rare in the house, and when especially like it happens too with like morning people, like when people wake up early and it's just those two in the house and everyone else is asleep. Those times can really bond people. And you do often see that like smokers tend to like group together when they play the game. Yeah, little things like that do matter a lot. But there's still more to talk about here.
I know.
So Victoria is going to, now that the veto's over, now that she's claiming that she wouldn't have even done, they are getting, and this was, very easily foreseen, right? The more and more Ty and Jed and Toya and them think about everything that Victoria has said, the more upset they're getting. And they're like, you know what, she's a goner next week, like we gotta take a shot, and Victoria's gonna overhear that Ty is upset with her, and that is going to make her very upset, because she thought that she was the best to ever play the game, and she's finding out that somehow her genius plan did not work. And Ty is mad at her for some reason. And so there was even like a moment, I didn't catch it myself, but I heard them talking about it, where like he was like, oh, did she overhear me? And then she was like, yeah, I did. And like there's something going on there, but this is going to lead to Victoria complaining about Ty and Jed and them, and this was an incredibly disappointing portion of the day, as she is going to use the R word to call them stupid multiple times, and we
it's honestly like it's when I hear someone say that, it's like very jarring.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I didn't realize that people even said that anymore. Like it just should never be used. There's a zero tolerance policy.
Exactly. And the first clip I saw was like she said it and then immediately was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, big brother, I'm gonna get in trouble. But that was actually like the second or third time she said it. The other times she just went right through. And very disappointing, because to me this is an obvious signal that this is definitely like a part of her vocabulary, like
exactly.
This felt very natural coming out of her mouth, and I think it's especially disappointing because that she is like a youth advocate, and like I feel like it's just particularly should not be something that she should be saying. I do believe she got some kind of warning in the diary room. She got called as she was taking off her makeup, and she was like, "Oh, I just took my makeup off," and a voice that sounded like it might be Aaron was like, "You don't need to worry about that," because she's not going to be on camera.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for Big Brother Canada for, nipping this in the bud immediately and giving her a warning and letting her know that like that sort of language is not tolerated in the house, because it shouldn't be zero. Like I said, there should be a zero tolerance policy for that. It's completely unacceptable to use vocabulary like that.
Just so disappointing because you know, it's a lot about Vic that I really respected, and it's just very disappointing to see this go down. But that's part of what went down last night. We also got a couple of other things game related. We had Toya talking to Kiefer. And again, there's a lot of talk here. Toya talks with Kiefer about it. Ty talks with Beth about it. They're so upset about Tina that they're like, Tina just abandoned us. Like she's just straight up with Tara now. Yeah.
Like I said at the top of the episode, or at the top of the recap, like the game that Tina has found herself in is so hard to play. It takes so much energy and so much checking in, and you have to spend your whole day checking in with people and convincing them that you're on their side. And in order to play the middle the way that she has found herself doing, it takes a lot of work. And I think that maybe it's just a little bit more work than she thought she was signing up for. And so she's really let her relationship with the Sunsetters fade because they're not in power this week. But that will get very old if one of them wins power next week and she comes crawling back to them. Like the key to this type of gameplay is making people feel like you're with them, you know, in sickness and in health. Like you're married to the Alliance no matter what's going down. And she really has let all of that slip.
And I do want to say, you asked me at the start of this update, like, what do I think is the right move for Tina and Tara? And I do, again, I think it could go either way, but I do think that keeping Kiefer is probably a slightly better move for them. But first of all, if they flipped and they kept Toya, that means Toya is still in the game, which I love. But also, it would be so funny if after everything Vic said about not wanting the vote to, the last thing she wanted was for the vote to flip, and have Toya stay on her HOH.
Yes.
Would be so glorious.
I mean,
I'm like, Tina, please.
I feel like if Toya can play her cards right with Tina, that is what will happen. I really do. Because at the top of the week, I was like, I don't think Toya's going anywhere because I think that Tina is going to want to keep her safe. And then obviously this whole week has happened and you can see their relationship has broken down. But yes, of course, the drama of it all. Like, will it be the best first 3 evictions in Big Brother history if the vote flips and Victoria is blindsided and LaToya stays? Like, possibly yes. And I don't want this cart to stop rolling anytime soon.
Yeah, Vic will be like, how did I not think of this? She can still flip votes when she's on the block. And then she'll have to pretend to not be mad about it, but she'll so obviously be mad about it, and Toya will get to be like, man, aren't you so glad the vote didn't flip?
Oh man, it would be so good. Let's do a prayer circle for it to happen, Taran. Let's do a virtual.
Ty and Beth are also going to talk about Tina. And like, again, the conversation around Tina and Tara is like, it's so annoying. And the most annoying part about it is that there's nothing we can do about it. Like, straight up, nothing we can do about it. Like, they are going to be here for a long time. And that's just the way it is.
Also, you know, I always think back to the move in Big Brother 21 when Jackson took out Jessica. Because that move, I think on paper, you're like, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time on her? But when you're a big power player, like Ty, Beth, Jed, you're like, this is so annoying. I need to get this person out. Otherwise, you can, you know, pencil them in to the finals. The way that now I'm like really going but in Survivor, when Cirie did her 3-2-1 vote to get out Courtney, it's like, I need that spot gone because I can't have that with the way that the chips are laid out right now. And unfortunately for them, right now there's too many people. You can't waste your HOH. It'll be all stars all over again, like you said. And yeah, it's just like so crazy how everything's shaken out this season, and the house layout is so dynamic and so interesting when these people didn't really do anything to make it that way. It was like a lot of wrong moves that made it go this way, crazy enough.
Well, I do want to I do want to give, first of all, obviously it's the Sunsetters screwed up massively. But I also would give Kyle and Ro some credit for recognizing that they were on the outs and working hard. It took them a few tries, and it took people screwing up for it to happen properly.
Couple of guys.
Yes. But they really worked hard to form the opposition. Like, they had to go. They initially were like, all right, Toya, Tina, let's go opposition alliance. And if they had fully accepted that offer, game over. It's over. Like, the whole game is over. They're lulled into a false sense of security, and the whole thing ends. Luckily, though, Toya turned it down, and Tina was busy stopping the potential flip and didn't hang out with Ro that much. Then they find out about a potential flip, and they keep trying. Okay, well, obviously Toya's off the table. These people are off the table. I guess we have to go to the very person who just nominated us. And so, by process of elimination, they found the right people to create this opposition alliance, and they just kept at it. And Kyle's threats to the guys helped. Ro's lies to the guys helped. I think we do have to give. Because the narrative, I think rightfully so, is the Sunsetters screwed up massively and caused a split house. But I do think that, there should be some credit given to Kyle and Ro for putting the work in. I think that lesser players, even with the screw up, would have still just had the majority take them over.
You're right. I hadn't really thought of it that way because, they could have stayed petty. Kyle and Ro could have stayed petty, and they could have been like, no, screw you, Austin and Brayden. We're never working with you. You just nominated Rohan, and it almost flipped on you it almost flipped on us for Rohan to leave. But you're right. They are savvy enough players that they were able to identify. And that's also the thing about the split house that's so crazy, is that I don't really have a side that I'm rooting for. Obviously right now I'm, oddballs because they're, sort of underdogs right now. But I really do like most people that are on both sides. And I feel like it's going to be such a fun season just to watch them go back and forth. And I don't want to, claim my card yet to either alliance loyalty, but I'm really having such a fun time. There's such fun people on both sides.
All right, Tina.
I'm
traitor,
sorry.
Traitor to the cause.
I'm sorry, okay? I can't help it. I like mess. I like fun. I like people fighting, but not being mean. And that's what this season is giving me.
Yeah. All right. So Toya tells Ty and Beth at one point, and I thought this was interesting. This in just one day, it's gone this far against what Vic intended. But Toya's like, look, if I go home and I'm sitting at home and I'm watching this show, I'm gonna feel some type of way if I'm watching you guys play nice with Vic. I just cannot. And Beth was like, honestly, I'm with you. And Ty's kind of like, well, to what degree though?
Because Ty, like I said, is the more affable. That was the word I was looking for, I think. More affable. Ty is not trying. Jed will fight with somebody for a little bit. Ty is always going to be like, don't look over here. I'm just a smiley, happy guy.
Why would you fight with me?
I'm just such a good dude. Don't say you want to nominate me. My eyes will grow 3 sizes and my heart will sink into my chest. And you don't want to do that because I'm so nice.
So definitely some hard feelings toward Vic. Now, that doesn't mean that she is necessarily like the number one target heading into next week. Obviously, Kyle and Ro are still like the biggest threats just because they are a solid duo. And they're also to some degree like the glue that is holding that side together, like really the driving force behind that entire alliance. If they got disrupted, then it could really like the oddballs are really a set of pairs plus Victoria. Whereas the Sunsetters minus Tina now, the remaining 4 Sunsetters, and they've talked about this, and I believe them, I think this is true, they are very solidly together. They have been bonded by this experience. Like Beth, Ty, Jed, and Kiefer are never going to turn their backs on one another. And I do not think the same is true of the people on the oddball side of things. So I think even though the numbers are a little bit lopsided right now, that does not necessarily mean that that the sides are uneven. I think that if there is a Sunsetter HOH next week, the entire house dynamic could change again. We'll see. But Kyle and Ro would probably go on the block. Vic would be a replacement. Vic would still be somebody that goes on the block, maybe even initially. But they would probably try to get Kyle or Ro out if they could. But Vic would be definitely the backup target if anything went wrong. So just initial targeting talks right now. I'm sure things will change. But we also finally just a brief like moment of Tina and Tara talking. They like Kyle more so than Ro. They feel like Kyle's the person that they trust in the oddballs the most. So Kyle doing some good work with Tara and Tina. Helping pull them in and also attaching them to him more so than anyone else in the group.
Yeah. Kyle and Ro they're just, I sort of am just like here about them. Like I don't have like super strong feelings either way about them. They're probably the 2 people in the house that I'm, less inclined to be like, aw. But their gaming ability, I think, is strong. And I think that they are a really fun opposition to Ty and Jed.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've done a great job of creating an opposition alliance. I think the thing, and I think that they probably feel like they're doing a good job of it because all of these things are going right. And I just spent, the last, 15 minutes complimenting them. But there's an entire other side to their game that I think they're completely leaving, that they're blind to. And that is the fact that they're going home next week if they lose HOH, right?
They're going home next week and they'll cause a scene about it.
Like it's not like the current spot is better than like just getting picked off by a majority alliance, but they are still prime target number ones if they lose the HOH. And then even the week after that, they are still prime target number ones. Like they will need to just always win HOH or they are screwed. And that's what they need to start working on now, in my opinion.
All right. Hear that, guys? Get to work.
Yes. All right. That's about what I've got for you guys. Maggie, anything else that we need to bring up before we wrap up?
No, I don't think within the feeds yesterday.
All right.
I don't think so.
Well, that's
Covered
what we have for you. We'll be live tonight after the Monday night episode, which who knows what kind of story they'll come up with tonight. Yeah. But we'll be there to recap it. I'll, of course, be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today on the Big Brother Canada 9 live feeds. Tomorrow night, we'll have our second roundtable of the season. We will rate all of the players, update the stock watch. We'll see who has gone up, who has gone down. It's if you were used to the stock watch of BB22, where it was pretty steady, get ready for some turbulent times because... It's not how this season's gonna go.
Really thought that I was making a good buy. I was like, oh, she's sort of lower. She's only a 6. Mistakes were made. It's fine.
Yes. All right.
It's fine. I'll survive.
Well, you can, of course, find me on Twitch. We streamed some Among Us last night, which was very fun, and caught some of the feeds at the same time. I'm normally live watching feeds, playing Fall Guys or Among Us, or just chatting with you guys. So you can find me there, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. Maggie, where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at _MLMorgan or on Instagram at MLMorgan_. I also do the Temptation Island recap podcast with Kirsten McInnes, the lovely Kirsten McInnes, every week on, it usually comes out on Wednesdays, but Temptation Island airs Tuesday at 10 p.m. on USA. If you ever have any interest in watching the show and coming on, Taran, you have an open invitation. It would be your favorite thing to talk about, I think, are these hot, dumb singles on an island.
Can you tempt me?
Yes. Basically, they're divided. Like all of the men who are in a relationship, there's 4 couples, and all of the men go to an island.
Is this like they're going to try and get them to cheat on their partners?
Yes. Hot single women. And all of the women go to an island full of hot single men, which is why I thought it would be the perfect show for you to talk about, Taran, because it just seems right up your alley.
I love hot single men.
Yeah.
It's my jam.
Well, you have an open invitation to come join us if you'd like. But yeah, so we talk about that. It airs Tuesday nights at 10 on USA Network. Also, they put the episode up on YouTube the day after. And then also, we're going to do, I believe there's an RHAP room on Clubhouse that maybe is open right now, or maybe it'll be open right after the update's over, to talk just about feeds. The feeds from yesterday. So if you want to hop on, I know Taran can't get on Clubhouse because you don't have an iPhone. Is that correct? But
I guess so.
Well, Clubhouse is only for iPhone users. So
not allowed.
Well, I just think it's not compatible with Android. I don't really know.
It's not compatible. That's the excuse. All right.
I don't know. Clubhouse is sort of like new to me too, but I think people are going to be on there chatting. I'm going to try and hop on. If you want to join us, please come. Talk about everything from yesterday.
Go hang out on Clubhouse if you like iPhones.
This wasn't meant. It wasn't meant to be like that. I'm sorry. I feel like I've messed up somehow. I really didn't mean it in any sort of way. Sorry about that.
No, I've heard Rob has really been enjoying the Clubhouse stuff. So if you want to check out the Clubhouse, then go
the Clubhouse.
Go check it out. Yeah. You just need the secret password of owning an iPhone. And you'll have plenty of fun in your secret Clubhouse. So that's what we have for you. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. See you next time.